I don't know if you guys knew, but Shrek is my favorite movie of all time, and my favorite franchise of all time, and everyone have fond memories the Shrek series. When the first Shrek came out, it was a phenomenon. It got extremely positive reviews from both critics and audiences. It was a box office smash. It won the first ever Oscar for Best Animated Feature as well as for Best Screenplay, and the songs we were constantly playing non-stop. But unlike Frozen, it was a blast to listen to. The whole world was in love with Shrek, and it got even bigger with the sequel Shrek 2 becoming an even bigger success, almost becoming the first animated film to join the $1 billion club, and in my opinion it should have. The movie gave us the most memorable characters like Puss in Boots, Prince Charming, Fairy Godmother, King Harold and Queen Lillian, Doris, Captain Hook and many more. It seemed the Shrek success would never end. But that of course all changed when Shrek the Third and Shrek Forever After came out. All the love for the Shrek franchise was gone after that, and the franchise fell off everyone's radar. It got so bad that people outright despised Shrek and everything to do with it. But I got a different take on the Shrek franchise as a whole. Now I eventually want to do a movie essay on Shrek and Shrek 2. But I have a hot take to get off my chest before I talk about how truly groundbreaking these two masterpieces are. So let's talk about the not-so-beloved Shrek installments, and how I think they were better than people think. So chill when I say Shrek 3 and 4 are good or just mean. Now starting off with the third one, while it is the weakest of the four, I still think it stands well on its own. The story, while it's not as grandiose or epic as Shrek 1 or 2, is still an enjoyable enough experience. While the humor have taken a significant dip, it still has some pretty entertaining and witty jokes. The animation is still about the same as Shrek 2 but definitely still looks nice. I mean, it's Shrek. Of course it's going to look good. The internal struggles, while not as well executed as Shrek 1 or 2, is still pretty well handled and develops the characters in interesting, smart and compelling ways. Shrek's development in this movie is really intriguing, as he has to get prepared to not only become king of Far Far Away, but to be a father as well, which is something that he doesn't know how to approach since his own father was beastly to him, trying to eat him many times, and he's afraid he'll be as bad of a dad as his was, if not worse. But Artie helps him to overcome that fear, giving him the chance to be sort of a father figure to Artie when Artie has father issues of his own, being abandoned by his dad when he was very little, something that affected him greatly and caused him to become distant from everyone else and doubts that he's good enough for anything. But when Shrek shares some of his experiences, Artie begins to see that maybe he can be more than what he can be, and then Shrek begins to see that he can be more than he thinks he can be, and that he can be a good dad to his future children. Donkey and Puss, while not as well handled as they were in Shrek 2, are still entertaining most of the time. I think the whole body switch subplot was the weakest of the film and was completely unnecessary, but still pretty likable. Fiona unfortunately got the biggest shaft out of all the characters. While she does have a lot of action scenes in this movie, her story arc felt non-existent. I mean, what development did she go through in this movie? It couldn't have been her learning to be a badass, because it was established she learned to be a badass in the tower. She didn't come to terms with her becoming a mom. Shrek had to come to terms with becoming a dad. Why didn't they give her a subplot with her struggling to transition into becoming a mom? I think it would have been very smart and compelling if the coupled Shreks struggle with becoming a parent with Fiona struggling to become a parent. It would have served the entire conflict of the movie, learning to overcome your insecurities about becoming a parent and becoming the best parent you can be, while expanding the characters and world in new meaningful ways. But unfortunately that's not what happened. But she still has some pretty strong moments regardless. The characters old and new are still as charming and likable as they were in the first two films, and the new characters are pretty entertaining as well. I might be one of the only WHO found Merlin to be pretty funny. I don't know how, but every scene he's in was very entertaining. Artie, while not the strongest or likable in the Shrek franchise, is still endearing enough to the point he fell for him when he's sad or angry. Not as much as Jim Hawkins or Cody Maverick, but enough to where he doesn't seem pointless. The princesses as well were pretty entertaining and funny, although they were basically here to make fun of themselves. Because of the parody aspect of the fairy tale satire, they still have some really funny moments. Charming, even though he's not the greatest Shrek villain or even among the greatest DreamWorks villains, he is still threatening enough to the point where he can cause some serious catastrophe. Overall, while I don't think Shrek the Third is as strong as 1 or 2, and I certainly wouldn't watch it over Shrek 1 or 2, I would say it has enough enjoyability to sit through it at least once. Now as for the fourth film, Shrek Forever After, I think it is a much stronger film, and I think its villain and conflict are much more nuanced and well handled than the third film. The characters again are just as likable as in the first two films. Even though Shrek is a bit of an asshole in the first half of the movie, he does eventually get better and stay the lovable ogre that we came to know. Fiona has a whole lot more to do in this one, as well as have an actual character arc unlike in the third one. And by the way, I think she should wear her hair down more often. Anyway, back to the movie. Donkey and Puss thankfully aren't reduced to a dumb subplot like they were in the third and actually have some pretty funny banter. It's a far cry from the hilarious dialogue they had in the second film, but it's still pretty funny nonetheless. The villain Rumpelstiltskin is a much better villain than Prince Charming in the third one. He poses as a legit threat to not only Shrek and Fiona, but the entire universe. He is an actual danger to the fairy take worked and is on par with Lord Farquaad and Fairy Godmother as a top-tier Shrek villain. Do I even need to say it? The animation is the best that it's ever been in the Shrek franchise. The characters and backgrounds have a lot more color. Character animation is incredibly expressive and emotive, and the humans don't look like ugly-ass trolls anymore like in the first movie. The action scenes, while nowhere near as good as the second movie, is still very edge-of-your-seat heart-raising and is superior to the first and third's action scenes. The one thing that bothers me about this movie is its very dark and depressing tone. I get that this is an alternate universe, where Shrek never existed and everything's fucked up, but it kinda feels a little too mean-spirited. I think it could have used a little more comedy, but overall I think Shrek Forever After is a very good movie. No, it's nowhere as good as the first two Shrek movies, but overall I say this an excellent addition to the Shrek saga. And for a while this was the last Shrek movie. Then Universal got their grubby hands on DreamWorks and now Shrek 5 is in development. But I'm looking forward to it and hope that it can be as good as this one. All that said, I think Shrek 3 and 4 hold way more merit than people give them credit for. While Shrek the Third is not the greatest movie in the franchise, it still served a purpose in continuing the story of Shrek and developing his character. And it doesn't matter what you say, this movie is canon to the Shrek story. The Ogre Babies prove that. And Shrek Forever After is a perfect conclusion to the journey of Shrek as a character and as a story, giving Shrek and the audience a chance to go back to the beginning and re-experience the magic before closing the book one last time. So that's my take on why Shrek 3 and 4 aren't that bad. Anyways guys, what do you think of these two movies? Do you agree with me or disagree? And what is your favorite Shrek movie? Let me know down in the comments below and I'll see you guys next time.